And she said, I understand.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah. So, all right. I guess I made it. Not quite sure, but I guess I did. All right. We'll just wait for people to get here. That's you. Hey, let me pull this up so I can know what's said, right? That was me. Pull this up so I can know. All right. Let's see here. Here we go. Now I can see your live chat. I think I'd be ready, but I was ready. But it all went to hell. But it's back. And before, hold off on your questions for a few minutes. Just a few minutes. That's all. That's all. I promise, just a few minutes. Hold off on your questions for just a few minutes. It's fine. I got 17 pair of glasses I'm working with here. Okay. Hi, guys. I'll go ahead and answer these questions. So I'm feeling a little bit icky. I'm okay. It's disheartening to hear that I have to go through a whole other surgery, that they have to open up my transplant scar and go back into my liver area and do a surgery. My bile duct is a mess. My bile duct doesn't want to act right. So they've done stent after stent after stent, and my bile duct just keeps collapsing. And it gets full of sludge. So I'm on a medication called Urosidol or something. And it's not doing what it's supposed to. My stomach is not emptying as like it should. It's taken days. And that's sort of a problem too. So it's time for them to go back in and fix this. So I accept it and I'll handle it. It'll be fine. They will not do another transplant. I'm not eligible for another transplant. My donor, I am 3 times my donor size. So my donor was young, pretty young. And I don't know how young, but pretty young. But I have, I do not have, is what I'm meaning to say. I do not have an enzyme and that helps protect your liver. So I'm minus that. So I got my liver transplant after we jumped through so many hoops, y'all know. And I'm not eligible for another one because of that condition. So I'm 3 times your size. I do. But I can't have yours. That wouldn't be very good for either one of us. So before we go doing a lot of questions and answering, I want to address something that I addressed hastily in the work group. And it seems like it's a growing issue. So in order for it to not grow out of hand, I want to address it. Twice now, Lee and I have been in bed on Sunday morning. I'm going to paint a picture. We had the house to ourselves. Nobody was here. It was just us. We were sleeping in. And a couple weeks ago, his messenger went off. And we have grandkids, so we keep our phones on while we're sleeping. Um, we've got kids and grandkids. So if anything happens, we want to be able to be reached, right? So his messenger, Facebook Messenger. Now it wasn't ding, and then 5 or 10 minutes later, ding. This was ding, 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 ding. I mean, I can keep going. Blowing his messenger up on a Sunday morning. Ding. I mean, it was so constant that we got up. I wanted to see who the hell it was. So did he. And when we got to the messages, half of them had been unsent. So I was frustrated. And so was he. And we finally shook it off and let it go and continued our day. And then this Sunday, his cell phone rang. Same thing. We're laying in bed. And it rang again. So he answered it. I said, go ahead and answer it. I knew who it was. And all he said was, hey, send me an email. We'll deal with this during your scheduled session time. And I'm with Sherry. And that was the extent of it. And I posted in the group, and then somebody had posted that it's his responsibility to set boundaries, and it's both of ours, but we got to remember that we started this business, both of us, and we started this, what we do, both of us. And now he's carrying almost all of it by himself. And Lee gives so much of his time, and there's kind of not even time for him to address disrespect and crossing boundaries and these types of things. So, I kind of get when somebody's in crisis and they need help that, they would, want to talk, but there's got to be an understanding that when you get Lee for an hour or 45 minutes, you get 100% of him and his healing and his wisdom. And the next hour they get 100% of that. And the next hour. And this is what we do. Like, this is our livelihood. So most days, and I'm not exaggerating, most days Lee is upstairs in that chair literally from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Tonight it's 9 p.m. Sometimes it's 6 p.m. Sometimes it's 4. Sometimes it's 8. Oftentimes it's 9. So when he's done, when he's done, you know what he does for the next half an hour, 45 minutes? He answers emails. He gets back with emails. And that's another hour. So sometimes he's not done till 10:30. And he'll come downstairs and maybe sit for an hour, and then he's drained. So most oftentimes on Saturdays when we're not doing something, we get to sleep in. Sundays we get to sleep in. We get to take our weekend together. And that seems to be being invaded a lot. And I think that it's time for us to set some boundaries on this, because it's becoming I feel like Lee's being taken advantage of on some level. And so we have discussed this in detail on how we should handle um, things like this. So we will no longer be answering Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, any social media messengers. Will no longer be answering there. Email is a much better way to get a hold of us. If it's on the weekend and you have an emergency, send an email. We do check the emails on the weekends. But if it's a weekend, allow us some time to be us. I mean, allow us some time to nurture our connection and to be in our connection. And I don't think that that's too much to ask. I feel that, we give a lot. We give a lot. And we, with these lives, we give a lot on our channel. We give a lot of 30 minutes. So, if you've got a 30-minute, that doesn't allow you to continue to Facebook message us to try to get answers when first of all, the answers are in you. Second of all, you can go back and find a plethora of videos where we are talking about what you're going through. I just don't want to take a whole lot of time addressing this. I just wanted to address it first and foremost so I didn't forget. So let's see. So I can take some questions now, but I can barely see. So if I put my glasses on, I can see. There we go. Thank you. I'm glad to see you. So I hope that what the hell? I just broke my favorite pair of glasses. Stupid retrograde. Let me see this. Hold on. You know what, though? Joke's on the universe. Haha. Retrograde. Oh, the sticker's still on there. You know what? I should never even be worried about having a pair of glasses. I got glasses. And that's only because I leave them at places. So I have pink glasses. These are my new glasses, and I love them. They're great. They're so cute. I love these. I've got black glasses. I've got green glasses. I've got a lot of glasses. So that pair breaking didn't hurt me at all. And I got these dark blue ones. Yeah. Not that bad of a casualty. But I did like them. But they're only $1, so I'm not gonna. I get my readers at the dollar store. It's the best. So I see a couple questions coming in. Let's get down to it. Let's see. What's Alice saying? Not a question, but a comment on Mama T. Oh, yay. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear you guys are getting on awesome. All right. Thank you, Grande. That's awesome. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could do that here. Thank you. That's awesome. My twin is in a psychiatric hospital under heavy medication. He blocked me everywhere after the best week together. What can I do for both of us during these times? You and Lee have said communication is important, but right now I feel like reaching out at all. I don't feel I feel it'd be more damaging than beneficial. And it might be, Alice, when he's got all kinds of medication in his system. You may have to let him get clear-minded first. because what he's dealing with, I know that when I had encephalopathy, that, I wasn't in any position to have any kind of deep conversations with anybody, let alone Lainey. So, um, yeah, I would encourage you to give it some time. However, lay back on your bed at night and talk to him telepathically so he can hear you. So he can hear you. Um, that's important. That's real important. Lee and I have had several conversations, many conversations telepathically. Um, oh, thank you, Miss Grace. That was awesome. Hi, Sherry. You went back into the hospital. Oh no, you're going home. Oh, yeah, I'm out now. I had a procedure, and they didn't like what he saw in there. So, I'm not sure when they're going to schedule the surgery. I'm hoping that they get it over with so I can have a decent summer. Um, when they open your body up, it's just not cool. And I don't, going, I know what that recovery's like with that soreness in my stomach, and I don't want it, but I don't have a choice. Um, can you talk about the dynamic between you and Lee after Lee started waking up, but before union? Yes, it's Chima making her entrance and going back up to bed. She's very independent. Um, so we had been in such an odd place of sludge, I guess I should say. Um, and all his like deceptive ways were at the forefront. And then he disappeared for 2 years. And then he came back after 2 years. And he was going through a major dark night of the soul. And before that, we would talk in general, but the same shit was happening, just a different time, right? Like I wouldn't talk to him after 5, blah, blah, blah. And we would mostly talk on Messenger and with a mutual friend of ours. I guess she's going back out. I don't know. With a messenger. And we talked a lot. But I wasn't really tuned in or believing much of what he was saying. Um, I was definitely on guard. So he was telling me things, and I would listen for keywords. That was a big mistake. Um, that was a big mistake because I didn't want him to talk spiritually. I wanted him to act spiritually. And I wanted to feel his sincerity. And that started coming on where I started feeling his sincerity. And then he went through a dark night of the soul. And I felt like he was in such turmoil. And then his mom passed. And then he was in turmoil. And there was so much left unsaid and so much left undone. And he was devastated, and his life had turned upside down. And most of you know, if you've watched our videos, that I actually showed up to her service, but I sat in the back row and then I skirted out before like everybody started congregating. I got out of there because he still had, you know what I mean? He still had a wife and a girlfriend. I didn't know who was there. And I didn't have a place there, but, it was, something that I had to feel and believe and trust. And I was also going through a lot of things, right? So it was hard for me to even people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, so I wasn't throwing stones. I was just kind of sitting back and watching and feeling, right? And I was going through a bunch of stuff with Ron and my marriage, and had a baby, and my kids were in high school, and I had one in elementary school, and then I've got a newborn. So I had a lot going on, but there was a lot in that connection that built the connection, right? A lot of things that were felt, not said. And those were the things that got my attention, that they were felt, they weren't said. That's important. Um, so the dynamic was, we were certainly connected on a spiritual level, but we were still in living our own lives separately. And then it's odd because I'm teaching myself here, but there was a time when I stopped thinking and started feeling. And I know you hear me say that a lot, but it's so important. Hi, Gemma. It's so important. We got along, we laughed, we cried, we communicated, and time and years go by, you tend to lose that unless you're connected. And then when you're connected, sometimes you can go weeks without having an intense conversation, but you're having conversations still. And we tried to combine our lives, and that was a disaster because we lived such completely different lives. And yeah, it was pretty interesting. The dynamic, it's different. Obviously, it's different now because we're in union and we're together. But man, it was difficult because we wanted to get where we're at now, but we wanted we, instead of climbing the hurdles and learning the lessons from the hurdles, we just wanted to jump over them and get it over with. And sometimes that's just not the right action to take. Hi, Ellen. Gosh, it's been a long time. I haven't heard from you in a while. How you doing? So I'll put it on. I think Lee put it in the work group, but I'm not sure. But I'm going to do a liver walk in June. That is, if I don't have to have surgery in June. But I'm hoping that they get it over with. If not, then I'm going to make them do it after the liver walk. So yeah, I'm going to do a liver walk here in Cincinnati. And if you're in the Cincinnati area or close and want to join my team, we'd love to have you walk with us. If not, there are ways you can donate. You can go to my liver page on the, I'll post the link, or you can make a donation and let me know that it's for the liver walk for sure. And I can give you ways to do that, but you can do it directly on the page, which would be awesome. So I'll put that up after this video. And I am drinking my liquid IV, eating my ice, and it's kind of what I live on. I'm also on this medication that sort of takes my appetite, and so I have to force myself to drink protein shakes. And I drink this liquid IV and this ice that I really enjoy it. But I'm feeling okay. I mean, I'm in some discomfort, but nothing like I was when I was in full-blown liver disease. Nothing like that. But I'm in some discomfort, but I know it needs to get fixed, and it will. And the interesting thing was, he said he wasn't sure how he was going to do it. He said that he's going to have to watch some things, read some things, and consult with some other doctors. So I'm, of course, the vision in my head is a tablet stand with a YouTube video in the OR. I'm sure he's not going to do that, but I'm sure they do sometimes too. But I don't think that. I think that he just has to figure out a permanent solution for this, and he will. And I don't even care if it's YouTube, duct tape, and a couple of S hooks. I don't know. You know what I mean? Some PVC pipe, whatever. I'm in for whatever. Let me see if I can read this up here without having to keep looking down, because I got my handy dandy phone here so I can see what you guys are saying. The last things that my twin told me before blocking me for the 4th time in a month was to break the soul contract with him. Find another twin and to not do black magic on him. It's funny, but I don't want to laugh at these things. It's not. First of all, good luck breaking that soul contract. Now, you guys know, if you've watched Ask Sherry enough, you guys know my take on cord cutting, contracts, breaking a bond. Look, don't think for a minute that there weren't times early on when I wanted nothing more than to break this bond. Nothing more. Believe me. Y'all know how rough this journey is, and y'all know how rough this journey was for us. There were many, many times early on that I would have paid for a cord cutting. Something in me that knew better. There's something in me that knew that this bond was unbreakable. And I'm going to tell you what it reminds me of. I don't know how many of you have seen the movie Avatar. First one, phenomenal. Second one, I don't know. I watched it. It was like watching the first one. Maybe with some new elements. But anyway, you know, when they take their hair or tail, so it's hair or tail. I think it's their tail. I'm not sure. And they bond it with the bird, the flying bird, that flying dragon looking thing. And once the bond's made, then they can fly on that animal. But it's a rough ride until that connection's made, right? That's how it feels. It feels like once you're plugged in, you're plugged in. And you just can't do anything about that. So I hope he understands that. We all wanted it gone, Amber. All of us, girl. Grande, thank you. I know I'll be fine. It's just a pain in the butt. Hi, John. I'm glad to hear that you're doing better. I saw Leave Live when you're going through your surgery. I didn't even know he did that. Kind of cool. Hey, hi, Helen. How are you? Let me see what Gina's saying here. Try to look up so I'm not looking down so much, right? Saw my twin flame after almost a year, passed by each other, and he gave me a hostile look. I was going to smile, but decided not to. He broke it off with me, and I did not want to fight it. Why is he still angry? He feels the connection, right? Who wants to lose that? Did you not fight it because you knew that it wasn't going to go away? Did you not fight it because you knew the connection wasn't going away? Because he could be experiencing the fact that it's not going to go away. And there's times when I was pissed too. There's times that I cried and made it want to go away. He's still angry because he can't break the connection to you. And you probably told him that. And he don't want you to be right. I'm just making that up, but that's why. I think ever since Pluto went into Aquarius, a lot of people have been seeking independence. I myself have had a lot of interfamilial conflict. Deep into my feelings, I felt almost naked in a sense. Have you and Lee ever come across deep wounds and felt exposed to the core? A lot, John. A lot. Um, uh, so many times. So many times. That I felt so, and him too, exposed and open, vulnerable. And I'm a Gemini, so I don't like to feel open and exposed and vulnerable. I stay predominantly in my masculine energy, and I don't give my feminine energy enough attention. And feeling exposed is scary to me. But there are times when I needed to, and times when I just didn't have a choice. I just had to. So, um, deep things that have happened. Um, we happened to be in. We happened to be one time in Colorado. We were visiting Sandra and Alan up on a mountain, and after years and years and years, people, I mean years, all of a sudden, my stepfather, who had sexually abused me from 10 to whenever, um, contacted my mother. Now, he lives in Portugal. He left the country. He contacted my mother over some money that he was forced to pay her, alimony or some shit. That, when she called me up on that mountain and told me that he had contacted her and gave me his number, sending him a message was difficult. I just wanted him to stay away from my mother. And I left him a horrible, horrible message. I was triggered and I just broke down crying. And of course, Lee was there. And I just felt so open and vulnerable. And that wound was still so real and raw in me. And when it comes to my sexual abuse or the abuse that I have taken from my family, emotional abuse, mental abuse, all that mess, I'm disconnected from my biological family. Um, you know, it most of it started with I found my big love, right? And whether they didn't agree with the color of his skin or the fact that he loved me unconditionally or the fact that our energy was so strong when we were together and they were experiencing that and they didn't like it. And so many things had come out of that when it comes to my family. Sometimes I still feel raw and those deep wounds still get me. But let me go back to this. Let me go back. Okay. So yeah, we come across those deep wounds a lot. As a matter of fact, we were just in the truck. We had went to the store a little bit earlier and we had come back and we parked out in the driveway for another 15 minutes and we were just having a deep discussion over some things and understanding why that behaviors are the way that they are and really getting deep in some things. And that was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. But yeah, it happens to us a lot. Straight exposed. And there's nothing you can do about it but address it and have the support that you need with the one that you need it from. Can't believe you're now going through a new obstacle. Kelly, girl, it's so good to see you here. Love you, Kelly. Just love you so much. It always reminds me of the old Poppy cartoon where wrestlers and alligators and he's holding it down and its belly. Then they start fighting in the alligator. I have no idea what that is. And that sounds hilarious. Poppy's belly. I don't know what that is, but that's hilarious. It sounds very similar. Yeah. So what they don't so when they don't show up for us, what's some of the best ways to show up for self? Just had a trigger, so digging into self. Um so I found when Lee was going through something on his own, still find that when he's going through something and um I have to show up for myself. What I do a lot of mirror talk. And I know that it sounds silly and it probably looks silly and I don't care. Sometimes I'll even make a video. I don't ever post those, but um it's nice to have like that video journey of what I'm saying to myself, right? So sometimes I'll pop through and look at one and realize that I'd come out of that situation and how did I come out of it? So um, I sort of have a library of different things that can pop you out of that and show up for yourself. I do a lot of mirror talk. Do a lot of visual mirror talk, talking to myself. And oddly, it feels like there's somebody else there. Oddly, when you're looking at yourself talking, um, it really feels like you're talking to yourself, not talking to yourself, but talking to yourself. And I like to look myself in the eye and talk to me and support me and show myself love by having that conversation with myself is enough for me to realize that that's loving myself so much, just taking the time to have that one-on-one conversation with myself. um, um, the number one thing is not deflecting or redirecting and making them responsible for showing up, because if I put all that on Lee, right, then he shows up for everybody he shows up for all day long. And he does show up for me too, all the time. But there are times when I just need to show up for myself. And that could be reading a good book too. Um, often I'm reading odd books, some Eckhart Tolle or uh, some type of self help or some type of spiritual book. But um, sometimes it's like Where the Red Fern Grows, or I don't know, a Fabio book or something. It's just taking that time to be there for me and in healing. I know that I've said this 100 times before, but my self care is important to me. And when I'm done with this video and I'm done with feeding my family, and um, I'll run a hot bath and I'll put some bubbles in it and I'll turn the jacuzzis on and I will put a bath bomb in and light some candles, and I have a mirror right by the bathtub, and I will have some self talk, and I will tell myself how I'm feeling and why I'm feeling ways. And do I need to involve Lee? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And I know when I get out of the bathtub that, hey, I should probably mention this to him, or I've handled it, right? So go all the way into what you've learned from growing up, from the people who were teaching you things, and pay more attention to what you weren't taught. That makes all the difference to me. Is I wasn't taught that. I don't know how to do that because I never saw that. I wasn't taught that. um, I'm going to use, I don't know, being vulnerable or robbing a bank, right? Either one. I don't know how to rob a bank. I wasn't taught how to rob a bank. I wouldn't even know where to begin to plan to rob a bank. I don't know. Do you need a weapon? Do you not need a weapon? There's so many being vulnerable. You know what I mean? There's so many things, do I be vulnerable by myself? Do I guard it? There's so many different things, but I wasn't taught those things. So I had to learn on my own just not to handle them, not to deal with them. So I wasn't taught to receive love. I didn't know how, right? And sometimes I still don't. I wasn't taught how to do that. Um, I wasn't taught how to love myself. I was never taught that. So um, I had to go back and dig deep inside me and figure out what I wasn't taught and what I needed to learn about me, because nobody knows you better than you. Nobody knows what you've been through better than you. Nobody knows how you feel better than you. Um, Me is always my first choice to talk to understand what's going on within me. And sometimes I have to incorporate Lee because sometimes he'll show me another perspective. Um, but that's what I do, Denise, and I hope you figure out some of those things are so helpful. Um, Mamsie. Twin Flame started waking up a few years ago and finally came back around and wanted to be friends. Then, like 6 months later, kind of gradually disappeared again, eventually around 2020. And there hasn't been much contact since, other than social media likes every now and then. Hi, Mandy. Um, I have, John. I have seen that movie, yes. Um, and I'll finish getting to your question, but um, I don't know if there's a question there, but is he Mamsie? Is there a question there, or has he been? Is he with somebody else? That's my question. I'm just going to go ahead and ask you straight out. Is there a wife or a husband or something concerned? Like, something's telling me to dig deeper into that. Do you ever feel the deep wounds resurface? How do you not skip back into the old self? Deep wounds resurface all the time. And not getting back to old self probably now is just a form of habit, because yeah, who wants to go back there? I don't want to be that person. I didn't want to be that person then. Why would I want to be that person now? Right? But yeah, old wounds resurface when, yeah, many dreams, many visions, so many things of me running into this man. We've been invited to Portugal. I couldn't go to Portugal with him still there and him still alive. I'm afraid if I run into him at a train station or at a bus station or on the side of the road, and I know Portugal's a big country and the chances of me running into him are slim to none. But look, we have this energy that attracts, and for some reason, I just know if I went to Portugal, there he'd be. Back then, I wanted to take his life because I felt like he took mine. But did he? He took a lot from me. He took my virginity. He took my innocence. So I wanted to take his life. I get angry when those old wounds come up. I get angry sometimes when Lee's old wounds come up. Like, for some reason, we'll just be sitting in complete bliss. And then I'll look at him and I'll be like, how did you do that? How did you hurt so many people? And then I'll just like, well, where did that come from? Right? Sure, they come up. We just handle them differently. And I just looked at it. I'll just look at him and say, how in the hell did you, what were you thinking? And we'll get into a deep healing conversation. So when those triggers and old wounds do come up, it's because they still need to be nurtured into some healing. And you'll always hear me say, I'm never healed, always in healing, right? So those wounds are never healed We just keep them in healing. And when we don't nurture them enough, or when we don't go in and be like, okay, I haven't looked at you in a while. How do you make me feel? Oh, this big a ball of sex abuse, right? How do you make me feel? You know what? There's no forgiveness. There's no understanding. There's hurt and anger. And I'm going to address it. And that's what I do. And it could be crying for a moment. It could be smacking a pillow for a moment. It could be taking a drive. So many different things. But those old wounds still do come up, And we handle them differently. We don't want to go back and be those people. I don't want to kill him. I don't want to take his life. I wouldn't want to take anybody's life. I don't even like seeing a kid fall and hurt his knee. I mean, I'm compassionate for people. So I don't want to see anybody hurt. Does it still come up? Yeah, it still comes up. I'm not in Portugal. I'm in Ohio. Put me in Portugal, my energy might change, right? But no, I'm okay pulling it out, looking at it, and be like, yeah, okay, we've talked enough. There you go. There it is. How come I feel like I'm cheating on my twin flame when I get out? Are you not together, Mandy? Are you not together? Is he in another relationship with somebody else? Because that guilt depends. It kind of depends on what's going on. So school me just a little bit. Maybe you already have. I'll have to look up. Let's see. Twin Flame told me he's neglected me in the past because people were getting jealous of us. I guess it's true, but on the other side of that is letting it come between us. I wonder what my side of this is. Let's see. I guess it's true. It is true because people in that energy, in that twin energy, it's uncomfortable for them. It's uncomfortable that I've lost my entire biological family to my connection. And it could have very well come between us. I could have very well chose my family and walked away, but I didn't because I knew better. I don't know. Your side is just the energy, just the energy that you have when you guys are together for him, and people see that, but I don't know what you mean, but what your side of this is. You're just part of the connection. You're just half of the connection, which means you're the whole connection. I don't know if you understand that, but I hope you do. His energy harasses me the next day, asking me why I give out my old number freely. Out my number freely, not old. His energy harassed me the next day. Is it his energy that's harassing you, or is it your mind? That's important, because a lot of times we'll mistake mind noise for energy that you're feeling. Something's telling me that it's your mind noise that's getting in the way, and that the guilt that you feel is mind noise, and that guilt's just going to be amplified if you continue to entertain it, right? Still being a brick wall and not expressing much as far as his feelings were concerned, except for the fact that he wasn't ready to share his soul with someone, at least not yet, and ended up doing the same thing he did before by leaving the door open. Is he? I need to know if you guys are together or if you're not, and if you're not, is he in a whole other situation? Hi, Mandy. I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm just ready to get it all over with. Starting a root camp with Lee tomorrow. Oh, James. you will get so much healing out of that root camp. The root camp was spirit led. It started off as boot camp, right? Um, I had a dream vision, and I woke up one morning after having this long journey in my dream, and I said, "We need to do like a spiritual boot camp." And his eyes got big. He was like, "What?" So we need to do a spiritual boot camp, and spirit's just given me all this information on what the world needs, and it ended up evolving into root camp. And wow, first of all, I'm super proud of you for making the steps to do that. That self-care like no other. And um, be prepared, James. Be prepared to be vulnerable. Be prepared to cry. Be prepared to feel feelings that you didn't even know you had. And be prepared to hear some things that it's going to rock your world. You're really going to have your eyes opened up to so much that you didn't understand. And I'm actually looking forward to hearing about your progress for sure. Sharing my earliest memory is of myself standing on the tiptoes at the sea over the table and being afraid of my dad, but I don't know why. How can I find out? Um, I want to say that when we're younger, we we tend to fear the father figures that we have, and that seems to be because the feminine energy is going, wait till your dad gets home, wait till your dad gets home. You know what I mean? Just wait till your dad gets home. He's gonna wear you out. They For some reason those generations wanted their kids to fear their parents. And so when we're in those developmental ages that we can't remember, 6 months, a year old, something like that, and you're witnessing parents arguing, screaming, yelling back and forth to each other, or you're hearing that constant wait till your dad gets home, wait till your dad gets home. I know that when I was 7, 8, 9, wait till your dad gets home, wait till your dad gets home, and the rest of the day all I did was worry and wait for him to come home, and then he would take the belt out and he would wear us out. So I did fear um I did fear him, and he wasn't even my father, he was my stepfather. So I was instilled in fear. And a lot of times we don't know that we're growing up in that. And then once it hits us, we're like, why am I fearing him? Why am I afraid of him? Chances are your mother said to you numerous times, wait till your dad gets home. Nobody's, I don't know if we've seen 222 or not. I'll have to ask Lee. We may have. He was with someone about a year later and then was hiding it from social media until I posted a picture of me and my new boyfriend. Told my friends, as soon as I start posting pics, he will. And 2 days later, he started posting pics of him and her. They aren't together anymore now, but he completely got rid of socials a bit ago. So I think he might be trying to hide it. I feel that in my spirit. Mamsie, that's why I asked you that. I just, when I'm answering these questions, a lot of times spirit's interfering. But I just feel that. And I've done mirror talk, so I'll have a good talking with myself. I'm so over the back and forth between us, it's just exhausting. So I do shadow work. Perfect. I'm over the back and forth a lot, even. Especially I understand that on a different level, like with the back and forth with my bile duct. I can't get a bile duct transplant. I can't get another liver. I mean, it is what it is. My liver's gone. This new liver is somebody else's, and there's just a mismatch in the plumbing. And so back and forth. I had ERCP put stents in, another ERCP took stents out, another ERCP put stents in, stents missing, had to go through fishing. Then more stents were put in. 5 stents were put in, go back in. There's only 4. Can't find that one. It's in my small intestine. Go in, put a metal stent in, put a plastic stent in, go back in. The metal stent was being sucked up into my main portal vein. And so they took those out. And then Thursday, they put 6 more in. So I get it, the back and forth. Now they're like, you know what? We don't want to do this anymore. We're going to give you some permanent surgery to take care of this. Okay. So yeah, I'm tired of the back and forth of that. And I was tired of the back and forth with me and Lee with way early on, where, coming and going, not talking to him after 5, only meeting him at certain places and not, it was just odd. And knowing in my soul that there was somebody else he was going home to. And you do get tired of it. You get tired of the back and forth. And I'm trying to find where you, I'm trying to find where you said, let's see, it's exhausting. It is exhausting, and I get it. So, here's the thing. I encourage you to try to stay off of his social media accounts. I try not to look. I know it's hard, but every day you don't look, you're going to feel so much better, and you're going to understand so much more about yourself, for sure. Once I stopped that, I learned so much more about what I was feeling. It just was coming to the forefront. Oh my gosh, is it 7 after 8? Oh my gosh. Lee's going to be coming down soon. Miss Grace, is it weird that I've been connecting to Twin Flames? Ooh. I think it's because the energy's similar, and I would encourage you to stay away from that completely. Yeah, please, for me. I'm the little Meg, trying to keep myself anonymous, but also give you. Okay. To who I am, since I've had a coaching and background details, might help if you remember some of them. Okay. I don't know. Oh, got it. Oh, got it. That really helps. That really helps, Mamsie. It really helps. Okay. I get it now. Thank you. I am feeling better. Back and forth hurts sometimes, right? Anyway, I love how you use that. I love how you use the little code that I would know who you were. That's adorable. And I just love you. But it's cute that the messages are, you know what I mean? You're posting pictures of you and he'll posting pictures of him, and then there'll be nothing, and then there'll be something, and it's all leading up to union. I mean, it's going to happen whenever. It could be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I don't know. But, I just encourage you to stay off of his, just stop looking and just keep moving on. Just keep moving on. Look, guys, it's 10 minutes after. I know that Lee is done with his session, and I don't know if he's in another one. If he's not, I know my family's hungry. I got to feed them, so I'm going to go. He is not, so he's probably answering emails and waiting to hear me not talk anymore. But hey, I love you guys. I hope I helped a little bit, and I'll be back next Monday. Root camp specials. I believe Lee's running a root camp special. I'm all booked up the rest of this month. I can't get anybody else in. So if you want to get in early next month, or next month sometime for a medium reading, or root camp, sexual abuse root camp, I do specifically. I also sent an email from my other email address. If you're going, okay, I'll check it out. Root camps. Yeah. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Look, if you're wanting to do some inner healing, root camp's the way to go. It'll change your whole life. Get with Lee for a 30-minute. If you haven't, if you've already had a 30-minute, don't try to get another one. Slick. I love you guys, and we will see you next week.